Now at 5:30, Immigration Crackdown.
We are going to enforce immigration law. We're going to protect the American people.
From coast to coast, thousands of undocumented immigrants detained and deported.
We have to stop fentanyl from coming in. We have to stop the illegal aliens.
The Trump administration saying they're going after serious criminals, but here at home, the fear for migrants remains.
We receive calls every single day of individuals who were either targeted or that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The new West Palm Beach police chief promising not to go after law-abiding immigrants working to support their families.
We're not going to be checking the neighborhoods for immigration status or whatnot.
Tonight, in our 5:30 Focus, we take a look at the role local law enforcement plays in these immigration raids, the impact on our children, and the state of the U.S.-Mexico border.
Welcome back. A national emergency declared at the U.S.-Mexico border.
President Donald Trump making good on his promise to crack down on the flow of illegal immigrants and drugs and to send undocumented immigrant criminals back to where they came from.
Yeah, tonight's 5:30 Focus, we are looking into how the push to secure our border and remove dangerous criminals from the interior is impacting our communities.
Just more than 2 weeks into the Trump administration, ICE has already arrested thousands of criminals across the United States who are in this country illegally. The White House says agents are going after the worst of the worst.
But there is still a lot of uncertainty. A large immigrant communities about who's being targeted by federal authorities and whether they and their families will be allowed to remain. We begin our 5:30 Focus tonight with Victoria DeCardenas in Martin County, where some schools in our area with a lot of immigrant families, half the student body isn't showing up for class. Victoria.
Last month, the Trump administration reversed a rule that restricted immigration arrests at places like schools, hospitals, and places of worship. It's one more powerful message being sent by this president that has immigrants fearing for their future. During discussions on illegal immigration in Fort Myers last week, Governor DeSantis was asked if ICE could legally enter public schools and detain children.
There's no bar in the state of Florida for conducting immigration enforcement operations.
That left a lot of parents worried about sending their kids to school. On Monday, schools in areas with large migrant populations, including Port Salerno and Warfield Elementary and Indiantown Middle School, saw attendance cut practically in half.
Actually, the last 2 weeks in my practice, I have had hundreds of calls from concerned parents saying, do I send my kids to school?
Stewart immigration attorney Maria Zacara says while ICE agents may legally be able to enter schools, they can't just grab students and take them away.
Students don't lose the right to privacy and the right to not self-incriminate. I mean, Fifth Amendment rights are available to all of us regardless of our immigrant status.
A Martin County School District spokesperson tells CBS12 News school staff is not allowed to resist or obstruct lawful immigration-related requests. And if an immigration agent shows up with a judicial warrant for a wanted criminal or someone who has been ordered to be deported, for instance, the school must permit ICE agents to enter the campus. So yes, immigration agents can enter schools under certain specific circumstances. But Martin County schools don't track whether if a student is lawfully in this country because that is not a requirement to enroll. They tell us ICE has not conducted any investigations at their Martin County schools, and they don't anticipate any in the future. The school district also adds that school is still a safe place for students, and it's important that they don't disrupt their education. Reporting outside of the Martin County School District, Victoria DeCardenas, CBS 12 News.
Families living in Palm Beach County are also living with the fear they could be detained.
And they are turning to a local nonprofit for answers. CBS 12's Al Peffley joining us now with those details and word tonight from West Palm Beach's new police chief. Al?
An official at one nonprofit group says there may be as many as 60,000 migrants in Palm Beach County, and it's hard to say how many of those are undocumented. But he says some are already afraid to go out in public.
I will say the people that is undocumented, yes, they're afraid
Guillermo Carrasco is the chair of the board of directors at the Guatemalan Maya Center in Lake Worth Beach, a nonprofit group that serves the migrant community. As we see in these still photos they provided, twice a week they distribute food to people. And Carrasco says in the past week they've seen the number of people coming to get food drop dramatically.
There is certain amount of people that are afraid to come because they were told that it might be a immigration raid.
He says many migrants are worried that they might be deported after President Trump's recent actions on immigration.
If they ask me, what I will say is, if I were you, I stay home, or if I were you, I will not take a chance.
I got it. Police department, search warrant! Open the door! The Trump administration has said they are going to prioritize arresting illegal immigrants with criminal records, but for those in our community, that doesn't stop the fear.
I don't think that they believe that they are going to be left alone. They actually are afraid that they might be arrested and deported.
Local law enforcement says they will not be going into neighborhoods checking immigration status.
Well, we're not federal agents. The police department's not going to go on every block and check somebody to see what their immigration status is.
West Palm Beach Police Chief Tony Araujo had this to say when asked if he has any message for migrants.
Live as you should, work, take care of your family and whatnot, and you won't hear from the police.
And that message is echoed from Palm Beach County Commissioner Maria Sachs.
Anybody here who is undocumented should continue to work as they have to help our economy, but also to consult with an attorney and obey the laws of the United States of America.
West Palm Beach Police Chief Tony Araujo says although they will not go out and ask people about their immigration status, they will assist ICE if their help is requested. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office sent me a very similar statement regarding immigration enforcement. In West Palm Beach, Al Peffley, CBS 12 News.
As part of a broader operation, ICE and Border Patrol agents arrested 32 illegal immigrants with criminal convictions. The immigrants were from the Caribbean, Central, and South American countries. All faced criminal but nonviolent offenses, including drug possession, prostitution, and fraud. Nearly 2 weeks ago, Palm Springs police were investigating a case of trespassing at a Home Depot. Border Patrol agents were in the area looking for illegal immigrants with criminal records and ended up taking 5 of the suspected trespassers into custody. ICE has yet to reveal the backgrounds of those taken into custody. And in Delray Beach, immigrants who showed up for their Immigration Supervision Office are reportedly saying that they are being detained by ICE and awaiting deportation. Congressman Joe Casello says if true, the actions breach the trust between immigration authorities and the communities they serve.
We're also hearing more reports now of undocumented migrants in trouble with the law. One man was found guilty of voter fraud and identity theft. That man was in the U.S. illegally, had warrants out for his arrest in the Dominican Republic for kidnapping and sexual assault. We're told he moved here to Florida, stole the identity of a U.S. citizen, even registered to vote, casting a ballot in the November 2022 midterm elections. Also, we learned 5 Guatemalan nationals are facing deportation after a toddler was found wandering the streets of Port St. Lucie all alone. Inside that home, police found 3 children living in horrible conditions. The house had no power, rotting food in the refrigerator, no beds for the children. In Juno Beach, nearly a dozen Haitian nationals were picked up yesterday trying to get onto the beach after their boat washed ashore near the Juno Beach pier. At least 9 undocumented migrants were on board.
Meantime, the first migrant flights to Guantanamo Bay are now underway. President Trump's order to turn facilities at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba into a large-scale immigration detention center. That space is expected to hold as many as 30,000 high-priority, unauthorized immigrants with criminal records. For decades, Guantanamo Bay has been used to house dozens of terrorism suspects, including those who are accused of orchestrating 9/11.
And Liz, all of this comes as security on the border has been tightened on both sides. Mexico now promising to send thousands of troops to prevent drugs and people from sneaking into the U.S. Tonight, our Christine Frizzau has the latest from D.C.
Mexico's pledge to send 10,000 troops to the border coming as those on this side of the border are facing new threats. The New York Post reporting on an internal memo warning Mexican cartel leaders have authorized the use of drones equipped with explosives to be used against U.S. Border Patrol agents and military personnel.
They're going to try to do what they can to make these situations where the Border Patrol gets in trouble, Border Patrol agents are hurt, they're responding to other situations so that they can then get their smuggled goods across the border.
Former ICE Director John Fabricatore says it's not about waging war, but a likely response to a loss in profits. With the rapid rise of migrants from all around the world wanting help getting to the U.S. border, it's estimated cartels made about $13 billion a year on human smuggling alone, using tunnels like this one recently discovered in El Paso.
That tunnel goes into Ciudad Juarez, comes from Ciudad Juarez into El Paso sector area.
This drone, recovered from a smuggler back in 2023, contained video appearing to show cartels surveilling the movements and activity of migrants as well as Border Patrol agents. But the warnings about drone attacks could bring more urgency for the U.S. military to assist in border security efforts.
The military has, ground penetrating radar. They've got other things that they've been using over in Afghanistan to discover tunnels in Afghanistan that could be used on the border. The military also has technology to be able to knock those drones out of the air if they do come into our territory and actually hunt drones.
Since Donald Trump took office just a little more than 2 weeks ago and declared an emergency at the southern border, the number of encounters of migrants appears to have dropped dramatically, from between 1,200 and 1,400 per day during the final days of the Biden administration to between 600 and 700 a day more recently. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
Here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis locked in a fierce battle with legislative leaders over how to carry out Mr. Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Republican lawmakers publicly breaking from the governor, passing what they call the Tackling and Reforming Unlawful Migration Policy Act, or the Trump Act. It would create a chief immigration officer and would move the state immigration enforcement to the agricultural commissioner's office, not the governor's. DeSantis has criticized the bill. He says the AG department's not equipped to handle immigration. The bill also does not include a mandate for local law enforcement and how they would cooperate with federal immigration officials. The governor says that he would veto any bill, but the legislature has yet to formally send that to his desk.